Good morning, everybody, and welcome to First Friday Lunch. My name is Tina Holland. I am a multi-published author. I've written over a dozen short stories, novellas, and novels, and I'm here to talk to you on First Friday about the writing business. And today's topic is, should you take a writing vacation? And what I'm talking about here is if you are feeling burned out, or if you are not feeling passionate about your writing and what kind of writer you are. There's different types. Like some of us write full-time, some of us write part-time, some of us have day jobs. Some of us are hobby writers where we just write when the mood strikes us and it's something we enjoy, but we don't have any plans to be published or anything like that. So I'm going to be talking about taking a vacation or a break, or however you want to look at it, from writing, and when you should do that and what does that look like. So first of all, let's talk about burnout. I'm just going to put this on the scrolling across the bottom. Let me hide that one. Maybe that other one will get bigger. I don't know. Okay, so according to the APA Dictionary of Psychology, burnout is defined as physical, emotional, or mental exhaustion accompanied by decreased motivation, lowered performance, and negative attitude towards others or your work. So that it couldn't quite get it all in there, but basically negative attitudes towards your writing, or if you actually have a job, negative attitudes towards other people or whatever. So I would say that if you are feeling this way, where you're just exhausted and you can't even, like, you look at a blank page for everything, it's probably a sign that you're experiencing burnout. And there are some things we can do about that. And the easiest thing is just to take a break from writing. Definitely take a break from, whatever project you're on, whether that means you need to pick up something new. And I'll give you an example. I had been working on a Regency for, I think I started it in the fall of 2020, and then my mother died that year, like that fall. Like I think I started it in September and my mom died in November. And I managed to finish it, but I was really struggling getting words on the page. And one of the things that I had done is I had participated in a short story anthology with a local writer group, the Moorhead Friends Writing Group. And we put that book, that anthology, Tales from the Frozen North, came out relatively recently. And I have a short story in it. And one of the things that helped me do, it helped me accomplish something. So I wasn't tackling this novel that I was struggling with. I was able to write a short story, complete it. It's out in the world. And it gives me a sense of accomplishment. I just wrote another short story for the Bizman Writers Guild for their upcoming anthology. A Story for All Seasons is the working title. And so that's another thing where I was just able to check it off my list. Right now, that same book was finished. It's going to be published by Magnolia Blossom Publishing, but I kind of pulled it back even from the publisher because I want it to I want to get it edited, and I found a really great editor. So, and I feel confident that it'll be, when I give it back to Magnolia, it'll be a much better piece of work. And also the second book, I'll be able to get that edited and it'll be more streamlined as a series for the publisher. So what are some things that we can do? So let's talk about a couple of things that when I was looking this up, I was kind of looking at vacation versus staycation, and then I ran across this new word that's called workcation, which I had never heard of before. So I kind of did a little research on that. So a vacation is fairly typical of what we would normally do. That's basically where you pack your bags, you get on a plane, or you drive your car, or take a train, or whatever mode of transportation, and you leave your home area. You're basically heading on vacation. This can be considered, some people consider I've always considered conferences and retreats to be like a working vacation, and it's sort of like a workation, but I've always considered it really, I'm getting away from the stresses of everyday life that's interfering with my writing. So if you're a full-time, like if you work full-time and you write, you may not need to take a traditional break from writing, especially if that's your hobby and you're passionate about it and it gives you energy. But if you're dreading getting in front of the computer and sitting in front of a blank screen, you probably need to take a break, either from your current project or a break from writing altogether. And so some of the stuff that you'll hear, terminology within the writing community, is like when people take vacations or go on writing retreats or conferences or whatever, you will often hear the term fill your well. And so what we're going to be talking about that, like how to refill that well that you need to continue writing if that's what you want to do. Some people get burned out and they can't ever recover from it. It ends up being hard to go back to the page. So we'll talk about these different options. So vacation, I'm talking about in the truest sense of leaving your home, leaving your town, going somewhere like across the country or into another state or county or city or whatever, and literally taking a vacation, like vacate, meaning exit, go away. So that's what I'm talking about when we talk about vacation. So one of the other ones that came up is a staycation, which here's some staycation ideas that just might work for you if you like are going to stay. So one of the things you could do is take a day trip. I live in eastern North Dakota, which is fairly close to Lakes Country of Minnesota. And there are a number of day trips I could take. Like I could go, especially now that it's summer too, because there's so much daylight, that I could literally go from like sun up to sundown to a number of small towns in Minnesota that have all kinds of things to tour and stuff like that. So that's an idea. The other one I saw was spa day. And I'm assuming here we're talking about a full spa experience and how can that benefit us as writers, or as creators. Even a lot of times you just go and you enjoy a day at the spa. That's not for everybody. The other one that I came across, and I love this idea, is being a tourist in your own town. If you have like museums or museums, art galleries, theaters, and I'm talking like play theaters, those sorts of things, go and enjoy those things. The other thing is, if you do something like that, go ahead and rent a hotel. I mean, enjoy that time away from your house if you can afford it. If you can't, don't. And there are a number, like with this day trip and even with the tourist in your own hometown, a lot of people will opt to staycation simply because they can't afford to go on vacation. So take into account your budget and say, okay, what do I need to do in order to get myself, refill my well and be able to get back on the page. And so those are the types of things. And if that idea is things like in my town, there's a number of events like movie in the park. There's a bunch of park activities. Swimming now is open for the season. So these are things that you can do that we don't think about on a daily basis. But even if we're not burned out or experiencing burnout, these are some ideas to just help refill your well, which gets me to the last topic of workcation. And I had never heard this one before until I talked about it. And basically the definition that kind of came across to me is really, it probably came about during the pandemic where people were forced to work from home. And so I think this is really talking about being able to have a work-life balance within like the workday, which is almost foreign to me, but I'm guessing it's became much more popular as people stayed home because they were like, in order to work from home, I need to have, I mean, I don't know, maybe they need 2 hours off. Maybe they only work 6 hours a day or 5 hours a day or something like that because they have kids at home. And so they're trying to, basically, it sounded like it was balancing your life within the workday when I was reading like the multiple definitions of it that were online. So one of this, that's take breaks. And so if you're going to do a workcation in relation to writing, let's treat that like a writing retreat. Let's do hobby things. So one of the things is take breaks. So when you could, during a break, 2 hours or an hour or whatever, go ahead, read a book, watch a movie, maybe do a hobby. If you have something other than writing as your hobby, take a walk, go out to lunch. Even if you just go by yourself or if you call a friend, like if I'm a full-time writer. So this is appealing to me in the sense that it's like, oh, I'll just take a break from and go someplace for lunch and enjoy that experience of having lunch with a friend, having lunch with your family, your spouse, coworker, or not coworker, partner, those sorts of things. Go to lunch. Just go to lunch. My mother would love that idea. Anyway, and then artist dates. And a lot of the things that we're talking about here, if you haven't read Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way, and I will put a link below to Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way. But if you've not read that, that can be very helpful, especially there's a number of books of hers. There's The Artist's Way, although I found Finding Water, which I'm not sure where that is in her series. I found that spoke to me much more than The Artist's Way. So I would go ahead, and most libraries have these books, so you don't have to go out and buy the book. But if you're curious, I would go ahead and check them out from your local library, or make them like if you have a BookBub account or something like that, make it so you're notified when those books drop to a fairly low price, and then you can purchase them on your Nook. Maybe not Kindle. I guess I don't know how that works, but if maybe there's some of them in Kindle Unlimited, but I don't think so. But you can just know when those prices drop, and then you could pick them up at a discount. But like I said, most libraries have them, and if they don't, they're more than willing to order them, because it serves so much more than just the writers community. But an artist date is basically these things that we're talking about right here and even above, like going to a museum, going to an art gallery, going somewhere that is going to fill your well. For me, I love, like, even when we go on vacation, I'm not a movie goer. I know people who go to movies on vacation, and it's just, I don't understand that, but I do know people that do it. And I know people that find a lot of joy in attending movie theaters and watching movies. And I'm not as much of a film buff. I'm more written word, but even locally, some of the things that I will do is I will go to the zoos. I love zoos. I love botanical gardens. I like that nature feel. I like going to a lot of like hiking and those sorts of things too. And I haven't done it for a few years, but that might be something that I'll get back to now. So I think this whole thing is really about getting yourself back to the process of wanting to be able to write, and how to do that, being motivated when you're drained. And I think that the last 2 years, a lot of people hadn't been able to travel. So I think that things like staycation and workcations became much more popular. And now we have rising gas prices, which will probably affect airlines and every other form of transportation you get used to get from point A to point B. So I think some of the things that are of value here are, how can you find balance? And even in our normal everyday lives, if you have a full-time job, finding that work life family, like work, family, hobbies, self balance is extremely difficult. And if you're a writer and you work full time, that makes it even more difficult. And you probably feel as though you're stretching yourself thin. So, one of the things that you need to do is be able to take a step back and ask yourself what writing means to you. I know a number of writers who write for hobby. They have no intention of ever being published. They write for the pure enjoyment of writing or sharing their stories. Some people love to share their stories with other people, but it's not about making money. It's about being able to share this piece of themselves with other people. And we want to be able to get that to a point where you can be creative in whatever form you want. If you are writing full time and this is your job, and so you have to make money at it, and there are a few of those as well. I mean, there's writers cover a large gambit of people, from 6-7 figure authors who do it full time to people who are simply doing it as a hobby, putting words on a page, and it may take them years to finish a piece of work, which is totally fine if their goal is simply to enjoy that process and then share that work. They're doing what they need to do. But I think we need to find a balance, especially for people who maybe write part-time or write full-time, to keep from being burned out. And even as employee or whatever, if you're working a job and you're burned out and you can't write, maybe you need to take a vacation and fill your well before you look to writing. So I feel like that's a pretty big struggle. I didn't find when I was working full time and writing, I wasn't writing full time, but I was published. I found it not easier to get words on the page, but it was more of a form of escapism. And didn't work with traditional publishers, so I didn't have this constriction of having to have such and such done by such and such time. I do now because I'm under contract, so I need to get so many works done within the year, and there is a little bit of pressure there. But if I'm feeling burned out, it's okay to take a break, step away, and refill my well. And in the case of this, I'm like pulled the entire work back from the publisher and said, I want to make it better. And they were like, yeah, go ahead, make it better. And so, I'm hiring an editor, and I'm, because I want it to be, they'll do editing, but they're doing mostly copy edits. And so I really want it to fit within the genre because it's my first time writing in it and stuff like that. So, but I thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to take on some of these easier projects that I can tick, get off my list. Like I have I've been playing in this world that my novella Fireproof is in, and I've been playing in that world with these short stories. And so I feel compelled to finish book 2, which is, 5K away from being done. So I feel compelled to finish that. And I'm like, okay, I have time to do this because the editor won't be getting back to me until mid-July. So I can get 5K done this month, but also taking note that this is the time for summer vacations too. And so a lot of people, if you live up north where we are, it's like snow 9 months out of the year, or it feels like it anyway. So, I mean, we had snow on the ground in May, like just a month ago. We had snow on the ground still. So I think that for us up here, that chance to get outside, that chance to experience the sun and the warmth and the growing and the plants and, all those things is very exciting for us. And the idea of being cooped up to write a book or write a novel or write a short story when you could be outside enjoying something seems silly, because it's like, at least for me, I mean, I even told my publisher, I tend to write about 9 months out of the year. I work in the summer with my husband, but I get some writing done, but when we have time off, and we take a break from everything. Since writing is my full-time job, I take a vacation from it, like a normal person would take from their job. And I use normal because I don't consider myself normal, I guess. I'm backwards. I work like 3 months out of the year with an actual job, and then, the rest of the time I'm writing, making money that way. So, and it's fine. It's worked out just fine for me. But I think that in order to keep from getting burned out, I learned pretty early on how to balance my writing with my other part of my life. I wish I could say the same about other things in my life, because that's always been a struggle, but I've been pretty good about, writing, filling my well, and those sorts of things. And I think that's really what we're getting down to, is how can you fill the well? And if you're not under deadline or not under contract, or, you're still in the early stages of your career, take the time you need, refill the well, enjoy the process, get multiple books written before you go find an agent or an editor or self-publish them, because it'll just make it that much easier going forward. So, I mean, I think it's all about finding that balance to keep yourself creative and keep from getting burned out. So I think that's about all I have, and I don't see that there's any questions, so that's okay too. We'll make this one a short one so you guys can get back to your vacation, staycation, workcation, right? And then I think the last thing I have is just that the next Friday lunch is going to be on May 6th, or May 6th, July 6th. That should say July 6th. Hold on. Let me fix it. While we're here. I got time. I'm not going anywhere today. I swear I fixed it. July, and it's July 1st. You know what I did? I probably typed it and then forgot to hit the save button. So, All right. Let's try that again. Okay. No. There we go. The issues I'm having today, I tell you. So yeah, next First Friday lunch is going to be July 1st at 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So if you want to, go ahead and pencil me in for lunch.